Good evening everyone, and welcome to day 16 of the 40 Days of Hope. My husband kindly reminded yesterday that I'm not even halfway through. Thanks, Mark. A message today that we can be real with God, and that's how he wants us to interact with him. Just another example of how I am real with God. You've been reading from Genesis this week and the story of creation. And Adam was created first, and I didn't really like this part of the story where it says, but for Adam no suitable helper was found. I remember questioning God years ago, look, did you even plan on creating woman, God? Or was it just because Adam didn't really have someone that you kind of created us then? And as I said, I give my questions to God, and sometimes I get answers and sometimes I don't. But I ended up, I think it must have been years later, doing a course with the women in my church called Captivating, really good course. And in the opening chapter it said this: she is the crescendo, the final astonishing work of God, woman. In one last flourish, creation comes to a finish, not with Adam, but with Eve. She is the master's finishing touch. Eve is breathtaking. Woman wasn't created as an afterthought, but as the pinnacle of creation. So just a nice little thought that I kind of liked there, that I felt was maybe a wee answer to that, that we are very precious women. Okay, so I just had to read what you read yesterday. And this, I suppose, thought came to my mind. You read two stories yesterday, one from Genesis chapter 4 about two brothers called Cain and Abel, and from Luke chapter 15 you read the story of the prodigal son, again about two brothers. And the lesson, I suppose, to me, that shows us that how we approach God affects how he responds to us. And if we don't approach him, if we're approaching him with excuses, with lies, or you know, how he responds is quite different if we approach him humbly and honestly, and he wants us to be real. So, the story of Cain and Abel, they both offered sacrifices to God, but Abel's was more, obviously God saw the heart, and God favoured Abel's sacrifice. And Cain was jealous, you know, he compared, and that's why comparison is it's dangerous, because it can cause sin, because when we compare we become jealous, and actually this comparison caused Cain to become so jealous that he actually murdered his brother Abel. And God approached him and he said, God said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" "I don't know," he replied. "Am I my brother's keeper?" So Cain actually lied. Now, I don't know how you react whenever someone points out something that you've done wrong. And I didn't realise I do this until I listened to a preacher years ago from Fiona Stanton. And often I become an accuser when someone points out something that's wrong to me. Now, the only person that's brave enough to point out anything wrong that I do is my husband. And when he does, I've definitely gotten better since this was pointed out to me, but I definitely become this accuser. I'm Irish, and for example, we take time lightly. Like, my idea of 5 minutes, really it means anywhere from 5 to half an hour, like half an hour. And Mark is the complete opposite. You know, time is so important, you know, and if you're not there when you said you're there, you know, you're dishonest in Mark's eyes. So there's been a bit of a tension between us with this, and I kind of agree with Mark, to be honest with you. You know, if you tell someone you're going to be there, you should be there. He'll like me saying that. But you know, we'd be getting ready for church in the morning. We alternate our lie-ins, and if I'm having a lie-in, you know, we're late, and Mark say, "Oh, you know, you should have been ready," and I'll say, "Well, look, you should have woke me up earlier," or you know, "You didn't help getting things ready. Have you, the kids' lunch packed? Have you got their coats ready in the car?" You know, I become an accuser, and I don't. I say, "Well, it's your fault too. You can't really point out something to me," and I point out other things. And I've definitely lied in the past whenever, you know, on the spot, panic, oh, you know, telling a wee little white lie. And, you know, God just wants us to be real and not to come with excuses and to pretend anything that we're not with him. Because how did God react for Cain? You know, he actually said the consequences were, "Cain, when you work the land, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You'll be a restless wanderer on the earth." And Cain cried out to God and he said, "Oh, come on, that's a bit too harsh. Someone's going to kill me, you know, if I'm wandering through these lands." And God said, "Look, I will protect you." So he still showed mercy. We fast forward now to this prodigal son story that Jesus taught us about. And one of the brothers was good and didn't splash the inheritance. And the other son left, and then obviously you might be familiar with that story. But how did the brother who sinned against the father react? He said, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you." So he said, "I'm going to go back to my father. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son." And how did the father react? The father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. You know, he wanted a big celebration. He was so happy to have his son back. And, you know, there didn't seem to be any consequences here, you know, or punishment, I suppose. And I suppose, yeah, I just encourage you to be completely real with God. You know, a conversation that I often hear is through my family and my friends. You know, I'm a good enough person, you know, I do my best. You know, if you haven't done these big sins, murder and, you know, spending all your parents' money, you know, I should be fine, I'm a good person. And you know, the more time you spend with God, guys, the closer you get to his holiness, the more you realise actually how sinful you are. You know, I think I'm much more sinful now than I thought I was 20 years ago. Because God reveals actually, you know, my heart can be very selfish. You know, especially when I'm not spending time with God, it's like I can descend into just selfish motives a lot of the time. So just some food for thought. Just be real with God. I encourage you today. Also, tomorrow is church, so you won't be hearing from me, and I'll invite you to ours. It's a special church service, a family service, so it's a little bit different tomorrow. And if you've got young ones, they might really enjoy tuning in. I also want to open up the opportunity, if you've got any children 3 to 5, my little ones will be on it, and we do a little Bible story and maybe a little song with the children. And if you'd like them to attend church, 9:30, please personal message me and I'll send you the Zoom details. Okay, God bless everyone.